Hello everyone, we're learning today about Bekama Daf Kuf Gimel. We're going to start about the third way down the page where we got to yesterday. Rav Kahana Yoav Zuzi Akitsna. Rav Kahana gave money to someone, let's call him Reuven, for cotton. And the Gemara understands at this point that he paid for it and he did Meshicha and the cotton's his already. Rasoif at the end, Eiker Kisna, the price of the cotton went up, and Dovni Marvosa de Kisna, the owner of the Kisna, the seller Reuven, sold it to someone else for the higher price. And he was thinking of doing a favor to Rav Kahana. Now the price went up, he sold on, Rav Kahana's going to gain. Also, so Rav Kahana went to Arab and asked him, what should I do? Omale, my Ovid, Ezel Eshko Zuzoi, should I go take the money? So let's say he paid £10 for the kisna, for the cotton, and now the person who the cotton was by him sold it for £20. Should I go take my £20 or not? Omale, Iko Kozabni, if when he sold it, Reuven, to the new buyer, Amri, he said, I kisna the Kahana, this is Kahana's cotton, so therefore he sold it for you. Zilshkoy, go take your £20. Viloi, if he never said that, Loi Tishkol, don't take the money, only your £10 that you paid, but not the £20. So the Gemara Keman, who is this going? Kibnei Marava, like Bnei Marava that we saw yesterday, the Amri Mio Idio lebal chitin sheikne chitin lebal amois. How does the seller of the chitin know that he's being magnet to the balamois who sent the shliach to buy the chitin off him? So also over here, if he never said that's for Rav Kahana, so the buyers never knew it's Rav Kahana's. They're thinking they're buying from the seller, and therefore Rav Kahana's not koina this benefit. Said Morakasha, Otumi over Rav Kahana Arba v'shokil tamni. What's the problem over here? It's not a problem over here of ribis. It's not like that he lent 4 and he's getting back 8. Kitna mimelo de aiker. The cotton went up in price, and it belonged to Rav Kahana. And now when the guy is selling it without Rav Kahana's permission, migzal gazlo, they're stealing it. This guy who's selling Rav Kahana's cotton to this buyer, he's stealing it. Nan kola gazlonim, all the gazlonim, mishalmik shasak zela, like the value of shasak zela. Now the shasak zela, the price went up, it's worth £20. So the chura, this guy who Rav Kahana bought the cotton off, has to pay Rav Kahana £20 because he stole his chitin. So the Gemara Amri, Hosom over there in this story, Amona Havoy, Veloy Mashka Rav Kahana lekitna. Meaning, it wasn't talking about that Rav Kahana bought it off Reuven and he paid and he did Meshicha on the chitin. It's talking about Amona. What does Amona mean? That the din is that I'm allowed to go to someone who has cotton or let's say apples or oranges and the price is out already. That a kilo costs £10. And I'm allowed to go to him and agree with him, okay, I'll give you here £100 and supply me 10 kilos of cotton or whatever the item is, and supply me during the year. I don't want to take it all now. Give me now a kilo, and in a month a kilo. Once a month, give me a kilo. Now, even if the price goes up later on in the year, we say it's allowed to do such a thing. And Rav letamei, and Rav is going like what he holds, the Omar Rav, oisim amona beperis, vein oisim amona bedomi. Meaning, you're allowed to do this amona beperis and say, here, take £100 for 10 kilos and supply me during the year. And the person's allowed to supply him these 10 kilos during the year, even if the price goes on later on. But if the guy later on says, you know what, I don't want to give you the cotton, a kilo of cotton, 5 months down the line, says, I'll give you money instead, and now the cotton's worth £20, take £20. That's forbidden. Why? Because it looks like ribis. He gave £10 and he's getting £20 back. So also over here, in this case with Rav Kahana, they never did Meshicha, so it wasn't really Rav Kahana's cotton yet. So if he'll get the money more than he paid, it looks like ribis, and it's forbidden because it looks like ribis, and we choishesh on Rabbanon say, Rav says you're not allowed to do such a thing. So that's pshat in this story. Says the Mishnah, Kuf Gimel Omud Aleph, Agoydel es chaver shava pruta, someone who Reuven stole from Shimon worth a pruta, v'nishbalo, and he made a shvua, I didn't steal it. And then he agreed and said, oh, I really did steal it, and I made it a shvua l'sheker. So now he has to have a kapara on this shvua l'sheker and on the gzeila. So yilchen rachav lemodai. The only way to get the kapara is to go all the way to Modai. Modai is a far-away country. It's like saying she has to follow him until New Zealand to pay him back. And if he doesn't pay him back, he doesn't have kapara. You can't give it to, he stole from Reuven. You can't give it to Reuven's son or to Reuven's shliach. Obviously, you could give it to him, them, but if it doesn't get to Reuven, so the ganim will be still chayiv, the goizel. But we make a takana that you're allowed to give it to shliach bezdin and to have a kapara, and you don't have to go all the way to New Zealand. Because otherwise, it's very expensive. A ticket to New Zealand will cost a lot of money. He stole a prota, let's say £1, and now he has to go to New Zealand and pay a ticket of $1,000 one way. It doesn't make sense. So we make a takana for him. They could give it to Bezdin and say, this is for Reuven when he comes back. If Reuven died, we should pay back to the Yerusha of Reuven. So now there's a din when someone steals or makes a shavula sheker about money he owes. So not only he has to pay the capital, he has to pay a fifth on top of that. So what's the din if he he paid him the capital, but didn't pay the fifth on top of that, or the nignav Reuven was moichel on the capital, but moichel al choimish on the fifth. Moichel al ze, or he was moichel on both. Chutz mi pochos mishava pruta bakaren. Less than a pruta is not called mominis. Then ain't a tzorch leila lachacharov. You don't have to go back all the way to New Zealand to pay him back, because you only have to go to New Zealand to pay him back, or wherever he is to pay him back, is if in the Karen in the capital he still owes him a pruta. But if there's less than a pruta, or that he only owes for the choimish, on that you don't have to make a big effort to go give it to him and pay him back. But what happened if not sanois the choimish? The ganev paid Reuven the choimish, the fifth on top. V'lo not sanois Karen, but they didn't pay the capital. Or the second case, mochalo el choimish. The Reuven was moichel the ganev on the choimish. V'lo mochalo el Karen, but he still owes a capital because he wasn't moichel on that. Mochalo el ze val ze. Or he was moichel on both. Chutz mishov pruta bekaren. But he left half a pruta in the current that he still owes, a pruta in the current that he still owes, then tzorech leila v'acharov, you have to make sure to pay him back and go all the way to Modai, to New Zealand to pay him back. Nosano is a Karen, so the Ganev stole, let's say, £1, and then he made a shvur, and now he was moided that he made a shvur l'sheker, and he paid back the £1, and he didn't pay the choimish, and now Reuven comes to the Ganev and says, where's my choimish? V'nishbala l'choimish, he said, I paid you the choimish already, he made a shvur l'sheker. Arei the mishalem choimish al choimish. So he has to pay a fifth on the fifth that he lied about. Actually, smite mishal pruta. If he did it a few times, the only time he's potter on choimish is if he made a shvur but less on a shava pruta. Because the din choimish is only if you make a shvur on at least a shava pruta. That's when you have to be moisiv choimish. Says the Mishnah on Amud Beis, v'chein bepikodin. This din is not only din begvela, it's also din bepikodin. Shimon gave Reuven gave Shimon a pikodin, and now Reuven comes to Shimon and says, can I have my pikodin back? And Shimon says, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'll make you a shvur that I don't owe you anything. And he makes a shvur, and now he agrees that really he had the pikodin, so he has to pay back Reuven the pikodin and a choimish on top of that, and he has to go all the way to Modai to give it back. Shenemar, because it said in the pasuk, bepikodin oy betzumas yad, oy begezel, oy osak esamisoy, oy motza aveda v'kichish bo v'nishbal sheker. All these cases, doesn't matter if it was a deposit, doesn't matter if it was a loan, doesn't matter if it was a gzela, doesn't matter if it was a aveda. All these cases, if he said I don't owe you anything, and really he owed him and he made a shvur, so the din is mishalem keren v'choimish v'osham. The person that now admits that he lied has to pay the capital, a fifth on top of that, and the korban osham. Says the Gemara, nishbaloi in lo nishbaloi loi. It said in the Mishnah that you have to go until Modai only if you made a shvur l'sheker. But if you only stole and you never made a shvur l'sheker, you don't have to go away all the way to Modai. Money, who is our Mishnah? Lo Rab Tafron v'lo Rab Akiva. L'chor, it doesn't fit in, not like Rab Tafron or like Rabbi Akiva. As we're going to see, that we learned in the Mishnah, Gozal echad michamisha, Reuben stole from 5 people, ve'enu yodea eidem mehen, he doesn't remember who he stole from Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, who the nignab. Shimon says it was me you stole from. Levi also says that. And all of them say, you stole from me. So the din is, Meniach gzeila b'neim u'mistalek. Divrei Rab Tarfon. So Rab Tarfon says, he goes between these 5 people, he puts down the gzeila and he walks off. Rabbi Akiva oima, no. Lo yizu aderech moitzim edei avera. That's not how you mechapa your gzeila that you've done. Because you don't know who it is, you have to pay each one and one of them, and only that you mekayim ve'eshev esagzela. Said the Gemara, money. Who is our Mishnah? Irab Tarfin, that said that you could put it between them and go afal gav de ishta, but the Gemara understand that this price over here, this Mishnah that we said is talking about even after Shavuot. You don't need to do a proper hashava. You can put it between them and go away. You don't need to make sure that it comes to his hands. So in the Mishnah, it doesn't fit in like Rataf, and the Mishnah says you have to go all the way to New Zealand. If it's Rabbi Akiva, the Gemara understands that the Mishnah over there is talking about even if you didn't make a shvur, you have to pay each one of them lefi Rabbi Akiva. You have to pay 5 times. So, in the Mishnah, the din would be, even without a Shvuah l'sheker, you'll have to go all the way to New Zealand. So, who is our Mishnah? Says the Gemara, Lo'olam Rabbi Akiva, really our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. V'chika amar Rabbi Akiva, ad she'yishalem gzela l'kol echod ve'echod. When did Rabbi Akiva say you need to pay each one and one of them, to all 5 of them? Eicha d'ishtova u'dekamar. Only after you made a Shvuah l'sheker. If you only stole it without a Shvuah l'sheker, you don't have to do a very good hashava. But if you made a Shvuah l'sheker, that's when you need to make a good hashava, and that's why it fits in our Mishnah, because also our Mishnah says only with a Shvuah you need to go all the way to Modai. My time, and what's the reason? The Omar Kro, it says in the pasuk that's talking about someone who made a Shvuah l'sheker. It says La'asheru loy, to the one who owns it, yitnenu b'yom hashmosa, you should pay him back. You should make an effort to pay him back, and otherwise you don't have a kapara. Rab Tarfon holds, even if he made the Shvuah l'sheker, Rabbanon made the takana that if you don't know who to pay back to, because each one says it's same and there's 5 options, we make him a takana that'll be easy. If he'll have to pay 5 times exela, he might not do tshuva. So we make a takana that it's easy, and we say you can put it between them and go away, because takanos are shovim. The Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, takana gdoile itkinu. They made this big takana. Shim oiso itzo yisera ala keren. If the expenses to go give it back is more than actually what he owes him, Mishalem Karen V'chomish LeBezdin, he goes to Bezdin and he gives them the capital and the extra 5th. And he tells them, this is for the guy who I stole it from Reuven, and when he comes back, give it to him. Maybe Hashoma, and he brings his korban, Mischapelo, and he has kapara. The Rabbi Akiva, who says, no, you have to go all the way, Ki avud Rabbanon takanta, when do you need to do a takana? When did Rabbanon do a takana that you could give it to Bezdin? And it's good. When he knows who he stole it from, like in the case of Mishnah, he knows who he stole it from, but he lives far away. At the end of the day, when the Nignav is going to come back to town, he's going to get the money back. Avol, the Gilin Hashash's Guris, Agoras Abach's Guris, Avol goes alechod michamisha. In the case where he stole from 5, they doesn't know who he stole it from. If he puts it between them or he gives it to Bezdin, he'll never come back to the owner because there's 5 people saying it's them. Rabbanon never made the Takanas HaShabim because it will never come back to the Nignav. So therefore you have to pay each one. Mosi Rav Huna Bar Yehuda. Rav Huna Bar Yehuda asked the kash on this. Omar Rab Shimon ben Elazar. Rab Shimon ben Elazar says, Lo nechliku Rab Tarfon Rav Akiva. The whole machloikis is only between Rav Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva only in a case al shelokach echad michamisho ve'enu yodea me'ezeh lokach. In a case where he bought something from one of 5 people, he bought the item and he never paid, and now he needs to pay and he doesn't know who to pay. Shemeniach dmei mekach beineim u'mistalek. Sorry, in that case they're not choilek. In this case they're not choilek. When Reuven bought from one of 5 people the item, and he can't remember what shop he went into, and he owes them money, and each one says it was me, so he put down the money and you go away, because he never did a gzela. He bought something and he just forgot, and all these people are saying it's theirs, so he puts it down between them and he goes. And malech lekuwe, the machloikes between them, shegozal echod michamisha bnei odom, when he stole from one of 5, and he doesn't know who he stole from. Sure, Tarfon make gzela b'neim nistalik. Rab Tarfon holds even by gzela you could put it between them and walk off. Rab Akiva oima eino takona ache yishalem gzela l'kol echod ve'echod. He only has to. The only way he has a kapara if he pays each one and one of these 5. That's the only way he could get a kapara. So the Gemara the Kasha ve'isal kedai toch di shtabo. If we are saying that Rabbi Akiva only is talking about after he made a shvuah, that's when you have to go to Modai, and that's why you need to pay each one of them. And that's why in the Mishnah it says that he made the shvuah, because the Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. Mali lokach, mali gozal. What's the difference if he bought from one of 5 people and doesn't know who he bought from or he stole? Because at the end of the day, if it's Toma where he made the shvuah, so if he made the shvuah, la sheker, that he doesn't own, even when he bought it and not stole it, now he's doing avera by making the shvuah, and therefore you need to do a proper ashava. So what's the difference? Why are we saying that in a case where he bought from 5 people, they're not choylek? No, if he made the shvuah, also there Rabbi Akiva will be choylek and say you have to pay each one of them. So it doesn't make sense that Rabbi Akiva only spoke where he made the shvuah. V'oid mosiv Rava, another kasha from Rava, Maisa b'chosid echod, there was a story of one chosid, Shelokach mishnei bnei odom, he bought something from one of 2 people, V'lo yodea me'ezeh me'em lokach, was it from Reuven or from Shimon, Uboli fnei Rabbi Tarfon, and he came in front of Rabbi Tarfon, Omar loi, so Rabbi Tarfon told him, Anoch mei nikcho b'neim ve'istalek, just put the price that you owe them between the 2 and walk off. Rabbi Akiva, he came in front of Rabbi Akiva, Omar loi, ein lecha takonu, you have no fix, until you pay each one of them. If Rabbi Akiva only said this, then you have to pay each one of them after he made the shvuah l'sheker. Chosid mimishba l'shikra, chosid will make a shvuah l'sheker? For sure not. So it must be Rabbi Akiva is also talking about where he didn't make a shvuah. Maybe really he bought something off 2 people and he doesn't know who he bought it from, and the guy came to him and sued him and he said a shvuah l'sheker, and only afterwards he did shuvah and he became a chosid, and now he's a chosid, and therefore it makes sense. It was talking about where he made a shvuah l'sheker. Can't be wherever we say in the Shas a story about one chosid is Oy Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. It's all talking about Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava who was a chosid. Oy Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Loi, or Rabbi Yehuda ben Loi who was a chosid. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Rabbi Yehuda ben Loi. Both these people who are chasidim in Koravu, they were never bad in the young age. So it can't be they ever made a shvuah l'sheker. So if one of them came to Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Akiva said you need to pay to each one of them, it must be talking about a case that. It must be talking about that he didn't make a shvuah l'sheker, and afilu achi Rabbi Akiva said they have to pay each one of them. And we wanted to say that Rabbi Akiva is only talking about if he made a shvuah l'sheker. So it doesn't make sense. So we have 2 kashas on that way of understanding that the Mishnah is really Rabbi Akiva. We have 2 kashas. Said the Gemara, Elo lo'ilam Rav Tarfon hi. Really our Mishnah is Rav Tarfon, not Rabbi Akiva. Moide Rab Tarfon Eichad Ishtoba, and the Mishnah at the top where it says that you could put the money between them is talking about where he never made the shvuah l'sheker, and that's why you could put the money in between and walk off. But our Mishnah where he made the shvuah l'sheker, Rab Tarfon's moide that then you need to do a proper hashava, and then it's not good enough to put in between them, and that's why the Mishnah says that if you made the shvua, you have to go till Modai. It's going to Rab Tarfon. There are Tarfon's Moida. If you made the shvua l'sheker, that you have to do a proper hashava. My timer, what's the reason? Why did it change if you make a shvua l'sheker? Because the Omar Kro, because it's in the pasuk, Lasher uloi, to the one who it belongs, itnenu b'yoy mashmosoi. And we learn that it has to be after you make a shvua, you have to give a proper good hashava. Rabbi Akiva, who argues in that, says, Afal gav deloi mishtova konis. Even if he did make a shvua, we give him a knas, and we say that you have to pay the high amount. Not the high amount, you have to pay each one of them and go all the way to Modai. So even if you never made the shvua l'sheker. So, and therefore our mission is Rab Tarfon, that dafka b'shvua you need to go all the way to Modai. So the Gemara, Rav Tarfon Mechti, let's have a look. Eichad the Mishtova, in a case where he made a false shvua, lo yisagid lo yoida. He must have afterwards admitted that he made the wrong shvua, now he wants to do tshuva and pay it. My Area Benishba, why do we need to come in the Mishnah and say that only he made a shvua, that's why you have to go until Modai? Afilu below shvua nami, even without a shvua, just by admitting, even if he just stole it and he never made a shvua, just by admitting and wanting to do he wants to do tshuva, he needs to give it back to each one. The Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, Moida Rab Tarfon's Moida be'oima l'shnayim gozalti echad mechem oneh, that someone comes to Reuven and Shimon, he says, I stole from one of you money, and I don't know who it is, and I want to do proper tshuva now. He has to pay Reuven and Shimon a money. Why? Shekvar oida mipei atzmoy, and says Rashi, uba lotzes yedei shamayim. Va'afal gav de beidina lo imotze mechayvele. In Bezdin, they can't force him to pay each one of them. Elo meiniach lifneim, he could put it down in front of them and walk off. But yedei oynesh en yoytze, if he wants to do proper tshuva and not to get punished, he doesn't get away. Actually, shalem l'shneim, until he pays both of them. The holav lebailim adrei, because if he puts it between them, maybe the stronger one's going to take it, and it's not really the one who he stole it from. So when did the Rav Tarfon say you could put in between them? That's din of Bezdin. Bezdin will force you to put in between them. But if you want to be Yotzei Yedei Shamayim, you need to pay each one of them. So if the Mishnah is talking about where he made a shvua, so it must be talking about that he was moida afterwards. So if it was moida, why do you need to have a shvua? Let's have a case where someone wants to be Yotzei Yedei Shamayim and he's moida, that also the din will be that you'll have to go to Modai or pay each one of them. So does that make sense? So the Gemara, Elo Omar Rava, says Rava, really our Mishnah is also Rab Tarfon and also Rabbi Akiva. And Shiny Masnisi in the Mishnah is different to the case of Rabbi Akiva and Rab Tarfon, where he stole from one of five and he doesn't know who he stole from. The Kev and the other Leman Gazle Ve'oidele, since he knows who he stole it from and he was Moida, Kev and the Efsha, since it's possible to give back what you stole to the owner, that means when he was moida, the Ganev was moida to the one who you stole it from, and he says, I agree, I stole from you. So now, until he pays back, it's like the Nignav tells to the Ganev, hold it until you see me next time in shul and pay me back. Until we meet next and you pay me back. It's like he's letting him keep it until he pays back. Hilkach, therefore, Nishba, in the case where he made the shvua l'sheker, like in the Mishnah, Afal gav de ka'om ale'ir le'biotcha, even though that the Nignav says, okay, keep it until you pay me back, given the boy kapara, since he needs kapara on the shvua l'sheker that he did, the tshuva is not done until it comes to the hands of the Nignav. But if he did make a shvua, if he just stole it and he never made a shvua about it, it's like it's a pikodin by him until the Nignav comes and he'll pay him back, but he doesn't have to follow him until New Zealand to pay him back. Masha'inkin, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon that they're arguing over there is talking about where you can't really do a proper hashava because you don't know who you stole from. And that's a whole different case. Thank you, everyone.